Hello, my name is Leonardo Martinez, and this is my persuasive speech. We all have hobbies, and then we know someone whose hobby is a waste of time or dumb. That's not the point. All hobbies are valid, and they should be respected. There is no such thing as a bad hobby. To begin understanding what is considered a bad hobby, we have to set some ground rules. What we consider a good hobby are things like volunteering, painting, playing an instrument, reading, running, weightlifting, traveling, cooking, etc., etc. Most of these things are popular hobbies and often seen as things that could add to our skill set, that could make us better people. And what many of us view as a bad hobby, or think of a bad hobby, is something like video games, card games, film fanatics and TV show fanatics, car fanatics, shopping, collecting action figures, etc. These hobbies are often regarded as expensive, nerdy waste of time, and often seen as unproductive and pointless as they don't really add much to our skill sets. Now that we have an idea of what is considered good and bad in hobbies, let's set aside the notion of good and bad. Let's just talk about hobbies. Just hobbies. Let's talk about hobbies for a moment. There are benefits to having a hobby regardless of what it is. For starters, they help us get out of our daily routine, they help lower our stress levels, they help us wind down after our stress factors we deal with in our lives, including personal matters, career, educational, whatever it be. Not just that, but once you join a community in a hobby, you expand your social circle and you meet new friends. Yes, hobbies are conversation starters. And just like you yourself may have introduced someone or have been introduced to a hobby, there are people for everything and often the topic of conversations. And just like we aim to be well-rounded in academics, morals, and career, we need to have something that speaks to more of our personal interests. By having a hobby, we can be more interesting to others, as a hobby helps us have more depth to our persona. Not just helping us become more as people, I guess you could say, it is beneficial to have a hobby, like I said. But there are things that are bad hobbies, and the reasons you might think a hobby is bad is because you mostly may have disliked or have a bias against it due to a negative or unpleasant experience with an individual who forms part of the corresponding community. A prime example of this, card and role-playing games have been classified as nerdy, very exclusive community, and unfortunately with very bad hygiene. Which is weird because a lot of these board games, card games, role-playing games are of social nature, which means that people meet, they play, they talk about the game in person. And not just that, but allows for character and deck customization, which means that you could express yourself with your play style, which is something really cool that I've found with this. Unfortunately, there are many playgroups who are unwelcoming to new players and give the card game genre of hobbies a bad name. And yes, there are those who smell bad and have bad hygiene. Unfortunately, we can't do anything for them, but most of us do take care of this. When I say most of us, I say that I do personally form part of the Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh community. And frankly, the community, or at least the one I was first introduced to with the game, wasn't so friendly. Unfortunately, that made me lose interest and make them see as bad people, which is not the ideal if you want to get people into the hobby. Further down the line, fast forward a couple years into my high school years, I met people who played it, teachers, and I said, wow, this is a pretty cool game. So I joined it. They were very welcoming. Not just that, but the player base for Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and I see a lot of Dungeons and Dragons out now, is the player base is really diverse and it's very welcoming, especially since there's people from everywhere. There's people from all ethnicities, every country. There's a lot of people who identify with different genders and sexualities, and this is a place where we all come together and just enjoy the game. Nothing else matters but the game. And this, to me, is what makes the card community, that welcoming thing where nobody's turned away due to who they are. Something very quick I want to touch on is video games. They have a super bad reputation and are considered one of the worst hobbies. Not all hobbies are shooters like they are to believed. There is a lot of puzzle games that teach players to think critically and become persistent in their goals. Unfortunately, not all skills learned through video games are applicable in real life. However, the critical thinking and problem-solving skills can. Not just that, but hand-eye coordination has been seen improvement in gamers, especially in the action or shooter genre. They have better mental rotation abilities, faster and more accurate attention allocation, and higher spatial resolution in visual processing. So what that means is that they process things slightly faster than the average human being due to the fact that their brain's always processing so much from all of the action going on the screen. Not just that, but despite the popular belief, video games have a social nature. It is estimated that 70% of online players play in teams or cooperative game modes, such as games in Rainbow Six Siege, Call of Duty, or World of Warcraft, and many more. To summarize all of this, there are plenty of hobbies that range from collecting things to academic things, to customizing things, reading and creating, and so much more. Some require you to go out, others are more mellow indoors. Despite the divide in favored and unfavored hobbies, all hobbies have benefits and can be proven healthy. These hobbies that are bad are not because they're bad or because they suck, but rather considered bad because of the biased point of view and are often associated with negative and unpleasant experiences with individuals with that specific hobby. Unfortunately, there are bad people out there, and even in hobbies. So next time you think negatively about a hobby, stop and think, is this hobby really bad, or have I just had a bad experience with the people in it? And if you have, I encourage you to look for other people in the hobby if that is something that interests you. You will soon see that there are other parts of the community that are much more welcoming. Thank you.